Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Grizzly Bear Sim's YouTube channel, and welcome back to our Return to Thornton Farm series. I hope everyone is having a wonderful, wonderful day. This is episode number 14, and we have advanced into the next game day. Just as a reminder, we are playing 2 game days per month, and so we are into the second phase of the month of September. And again, hope everyone is having a wonderful day here on the farm. Well, we've got a little bit of a dilemma going on. Um, I kind of hinted to you all on the previous video that Smithy and Mrs. Smithy was going to be moving into the farmhouse that I am currently living in, and of course, the whole general idea is that well, when Mr. Thornton closes the deal on Court Farm, I'm going to be moving there. That's going to be my primary residence is going to be at Court Farm. But until then, um, Ms. Smithy and Mrs. Smithy, once they get married, they need a place to live, and that's sort of been the discussion point. And so the house that I'm currently living in needs a bit of a remodel done to it. And the wedding is coming up in just a few weeks, and just so much going on. Hang on just 1 second. My phone is ringing. Hello, boss. How are you? Oh, I'm just down cultivating field number 20, just down from the pub. Yeah, I can swing by. Okay, give me just a few minutes. All right. Thanks, Mr. Thornton. Bye bye. Wow. Okay. Well, that's Mr. Thornton. He just summoned me down to the pub. So let's park up here, and we will need to obviously come back and finish this up here in just a moment. But we will. Let's get ourselves straight again so we know where we're going when we do come back, and we'll shut things down and we'll run down to the pub and see what's going on. Mr. Thornton was looking at some opportunities for me, either from maybe a small rent house location or something else. I don't know. I told him all I really needed was just a place that was a bit secure, dry from the weather, warm as it's starting to get a bit cool in the evenings and cool in the mornings. And we'll see if he's got something for us. All right. We'll just pull in. The pub isn't open yet. It's still 8:30 in the morning. Oh, I see something in the back. Wonder if that has anything to do with me. Let me go in and find out what he wants. I'll be right back. Well, wouldn't you know it, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Thornton has come to our rescue. Now we're going to have to get up here and mow this again before the reception, but yeah, he has come to our rescue here with this camper, and let's take a look inside and see. Um, yeah, this will certainly be fine. Now he was telling me, and we just spent just a few minutes. Looks like this makes into a bed. We've got a shower, toilet. Um, this also makes into a bed, but I don't need that because it's just me. We've got a range. We've got an oven. We've got a microwave. I don't see it. Oh, there's a TV there. Okay, we've got a TV, even though I don't have a whole lot of time to watch TV. But oh, I'm stuck. Let's see. All right, there we go. Um, so he was telling me the deal. He paid 1,200 quid or 1,200 pounds for this, and he just said all we needed to do was raise these feet up. Okay, that did that, and he wants us to move it before the pub opens. So let's go ahead and do that. So the camper, and I sort of said, wow, you didn't have to do that. You could have just found me just a rental house or something to live in for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, whatever the case might be. And he said, well, this is not going to be permanent for me. It will be permanent for me as long as I'm on Thornton Farm. But once Court Farms comes through and I permanently move over to Court Farms, then this is going to be used for another little endeavor that he has going on. And remember, I think I might have told you this. I don't know if I told you this in this series, in the Farm Sim 22 series, but I know I probably mentioned this back in the 17 series when we played Thornton Farm. If Mr. Thornton thinks that he can make a buck or two, or in this case, a pound or two, a quid or two, he is certainly going to do that. There is no doubt in my mind that he cannot um, make money out of almost practically nothing. So evidently, Court Farm has a kind of a holiday RV park connected to it that will also be part of the farm that, from the sounds of it, I will also be managing. And that is going, this camper will be parked there and will be a rental for folks that don't have a camper that want to come out and enjoy the countryside of life, and they will be able to do that. So I need to figure out what I'm going to do with this initially. Now, I think what is the smart move is for me to park this because I've got water supply and I've got a few other, well, I've got electricity and I've got water that I can connect to here at the main farmhouse where I'm living. So I think what I will do is snake this through like this and come up, and I'm not going to bother about parking inside the rock area, the fenced area where the house is, but we will just kind of park where I normally keep my pickup truck parked. And I will at least stay here for a couple of days. Most likely, I will move this up to the area where the greenhouses are. Let's go ahead and disconnect from this, and we'll get out and we'll put the feet down. And this mod, just to kind of break reality here, or break the storyline, this mod is available on King's Mods, and there's also an IC control that you need to be able to open the door and to lower the jacks for this particular RV. And I put a link on my mod spreadsheet. So if you go to grizzlybearsims.com, again, that's grizzlybearsims.com, click on the information link at the semi top of the page and look for my add-on and mod spreadsheet. Then go to the Farm Sim 22 tab, scroll down to trailers, and that's where you'll find the link to the trailer. I've got two different ones on there. One of them is for a more of an American RV that I'm using on a Let's Play that I'm doing off camera, or just private Let's Play, I should say. And then the IC control is listed up in the script mod section. With that, you'll need that to be able to open the doors. Anywho, let's get back to the job that we were doing, and that is this cultivating this cornfield that we chopped a couple of days ago. We need to get this done. We need to get oilseed radish planted into these fields so that we can continue to enjoy our our green farming as best as we can. And I'll very briefly catch you up on, let's get our GPS going again and get our cruise control. And I will briefly catch you up on a few things. Now, in the previous episode, we mowed, tethered, and we baled some hay. We officially have enough hay to make it to spring. And that also includes any extra hay bales that we will most likely be sending to Court Farms with myself, hay, straw, and some silage up there to as kind of seed feed, if you will, to tie us over until we can get our own stuff going. We'll just have to kind of see how that is going to work out. Um, Again, the camper situation, that is just going to be temporary. As we as I live there, I will most likely move that up to the greenhouse area, because I'm sure that once the renovation starts there at the main farmhouse, and I'm sure Mr. Thornton's going to have that going, if not today, certainly tomorrow. So I'll want to get up there so that I can get a little bit of peace of mind for myself. Um, and while the situation with Court Farms is that it hasn't fallen through, Mr. Thornton keeps me posted on the progress of that. He doesn't do it, every single day, but every couple of days, a discussion. He and I will have a discussion about Court Farms, just to keep me posted on things, um, because I need to know this, since I'm going to be managing all of his farming endeavors. And we are talking about some other opportunities as far as Court Farms goes, with how things are run. But for the most part, just kind of consider it that it's kind of his farm, and I'm just helping to manage the three different farms that he owns, that being Calmsden, um, Thornton Farm, and then of course Court Farm. But it hasn't fallen through. But from what he's told me, there's some politics at stake here with a lot of these kind of things that go on. Mr. Thornton and his attorneys are involved, and they're working through all the finer details with the local planning commission. And from my standpoint, I'm just glad that they're the ones that's dealing with all this instead of me. But the way these situations go is, farming. Well, farming is kind of um, the dirty word around some of these communities, and some of these communities have it in their minds that they essentially want to get rid of these farms, whether it's the cows that are producing a little bit of extra methane that's going into the air, or just the soil contaminations into the rivers and creeks and such. And so I think that the local community where Court Farms is located, the council and everything there had one sort of idea about what to do with Court Farms, and the local community has had yet another. And of course, Mr. Thornton and his attorneys are on the side of the local community, because they certainly don't want to see Court Farms being turned into, either a shopping center or a grocery store, or apartments or something like that. Because obviously, from what I understand, the local trade that comes out to Court Farms to buy local produce and stuff like that is quite good business, and so we want to tap into that. But so we'll just see how that goes, and I'll keep you apprised of the situation as time goes by. And like I said, as for the future of the camper, Mr. Thornton has told me that the camper will be moved to Court Farm and be set up as a rental, something else that I'll need to manage there at that holiday park. But looking kind of forward to that, because that's kind of an interesting set of ideas that he's got there with this thing. And I'll let you know if there's any more detail about that as it comes along. All right, we've got just this one more little stretch of stuff here to cultivate under, and then we will be heading back to the main farm and picking up a cedar and bringing it up here and getting oilseed radish put into the ground. And that way we can kind of continue our green approach. Now, we do have, I believe, 3 fields left. I believe it's 2 fields of soybeans, and then of course the large field with the sugar beets in it. And I think if all seems to work out the way I think it's going to work, we may be harvesting something tomorrow. I don't know what that something is going to be, but we've got or the next game day, I should say, we've got um, a lot of the remaining fields that we have should be at least one of those should be ready to harvest, is what the words that I'm trying to get out of my mouth, but I'm struggling to right now. We'll carry this along down the long way. I will show you as we pass by the shop here our new planter. I believe it is out there. I saw it earlier, and that is our new planter, and painted up in the John Deere colors. This is a lizard mod that is available on the Giants Mod Hub, and we'll maybe try to get up here and get this picked up. If not this game day, this video, definitely the next one. All right, we'll head on back and get this bad boy parked up here. I did downsize the cultivator that we had on this farm. It was the one that came with the map, and a lot of the equipment that sort of came with the map, I left. We had a really big Kloss tractor that was a part of the map as I run into the rock wall there, and that's the reason why. That is the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, I did downsize some of the equipment. Is that ping ponging off of these walls here, trying to move down this road, trying to move into these fences. This equipment was just too big that came with the map, and not really sure why the map author put such large equipment in there. I just sort of went with it because I sort of had the idea that I would sort of play this. I'm going to just drive up here and spin around and come back. I just sort of had the idea that I was going to play the map as the author intended it to, and as part of that, some of that equipment that he placed on the map I would use, but it just ended up being too big, too big. So we just sort of got rid of that. Now some of it, like the cedar I mentioned, we sort of did the trade on that at the shop. The money that you see in the upper right hand corner, that is still huge because of that sell of milk that we had as a result of the explosion of animals, not literally, but figuratively, the explosion of animals that we had as a result of updating the mod, and just a lot of milk we got from that. So all good, of course, because hey, that just means money, and that also means that we have more more money that we can use at Court Farm, because we're going to take a portion of the income that we've made this summer, both from Thornton Farm as well as Court Farm, is going to go towards basically the startup of Court Farm and how that's going to be all set up. So we'll start toggling over and getting oilseed radish selected as our crop type there. So there we go. That way we'll have that ready whenever we pull up to the field, because, well, I doubt it would let me. It might let me plant wheat. We might be in the window, still in the window for winter wheat. I can't remember. I'm not going to bother pulling up the chart, but it's not. It wouldn't be the first time that I've planted the wrong, or at least started planting the wrong crop type in the field, and then realize, oh boy, I'm planting wheat when I intended to plant oilseed radish. So, my dear friend, AKFS has been watching a lot of my back catalog of videos, and I really appreciate that. Not only does it count towards my watch minutes and all that kind of stuff, which I'm not real concerned about, really, to be honest, but he has just really been engaged with the comments from a lot of those videos. And what are we doing? Are we hung up on something? Yeah, I turned that way too tight. As we run through the hedge. All right, so again, AKFS has been watching quite a few of the videos from my back catalog of stuff, going back as far as the very the very first series on what was it, Paradise Hills or something, with Farm Sim 15. And he has listened to kind of what I have said in some of these videos, and he has, as I said, he has sort of left comments. He's asked questions because I've talked a lot about different aspects of my life as kind of let me get this GPS set up here because all right, and we're back off again. So one of the questions that AKFS had for me, because I had made a comment about my involvement in amateur radio or ham radio, as some of you may know of it. It has nothing to do with a lot of people think amateur radio or ham radio has something to do with DJing or with something like that. It's not. It's an old hobby which goes back quite a long time, and it's something that I have been interested in pretty much all my life. My uncle was, or it still is, a ham radio operator, and he got his license as a kid back in the 50s. And when I was a kid in the late 70s and early 80s, I was, like I said, I was interested in it primarily because obviously he was. And of course, back in the 70s and 80s, we didn't have all the newfangled gadgets that kids have today. We certainly didn't have smartphones. We didn't have any kind of mobile phone or cell phone, as many of you know, because you're of the same age that I am. And so it was pretty cool, but were some licensing requirements, and the service, this hobby, does require you to. What in the world did we hit? It must be something under the ground there that we hit. But this service and this hobby does require that one studies and takes a test. And it's basic, today the test is basic questions about electronics and um, that sort of thing. And so, but back in the obviously when my uncle went through it in the 50s, and then when I was as a teenager, a young teenager, when I was thinking about it, it still had a requirement of having to pass a Morse code test. And I think it was like 5 words a minute or something like that that you had to decipher. You had to basically be able to copy 5 words a minute or something around that speed, and you also had to demonstrate proficiency at sending Morse code at around 5 words per minute or so. And the whole CW Morse code aspect of amateur radio or ham radio, the requirement was just something I could never get my head around as a kid. I, maybe I'm kind of borderline dyslexic, things like that. Plus, there was just too many other things that were standing in my way as a kid. There was cars, and there was sports, and there was girls, and there was, cars and rock and roll and girls, and so what I'm trying to say is just too many distractions, and as a result of all these distractions, I would start learning Morse code, and then a distraction would come along, typically either a car or a girl or both, and that would just distract me from learning, and I would stop, and I would basically forget everything that I had learned, and I would, have to start everything all over again. Well, sometime in the 90s, I guess, the FCC, which partly governs the whole amateur radio aspect because of the spectrum of radio frequency that the amateur radio operators can operate on. That's all managed by the FCC. And so, but they had did away with the requirement of having to be proficient at CW or Morse code. And so I found out about this as an adult. I found out about this back in about 2007. And so it sort of piqued my interest, and I thought, well, okay, no more Morse code requirement, and so let me give this thing a whirl. Well, let me give the hobby a whirl. And so I got to study books, and there's three different levels to the licensing requirements. There's what's referred to as technician level, that's the entry level um, uh, portion. And amateur, and I'll just say this, amateur radio, ham radio is something that is a worldwide thing. And so if you're in the UK listening to this video, then I forget what your well, Ofcom basically is kind of your governing body, sort of the equivalent of the FCC for the UK. But then there's an RSGB, there's a society that kind of like our ARRL here in the US that is kind of the association for amateur radio. But anyway, so all these countries have different requirements and privileges and all this stuff. But in the U.S., there's three levels: technician, general, and then extra class. And I am a licensed extra class operator. I got all three of my levels done, set for exams, and I had to learn, different calculations for how you calculate frequency and amperage, and had it's a lot of kind of background on electronics and things that I already was interested in from not only from my work aspect. Now, granted, in the IT world today, most everything is either modular. So, in other words, you swap something out if a server is bad, you just swap something out. You swap a system board out or a hard drive or something like that. I mean, you're not. There must be some kind of underground collisions that's causing this to jump up and down like that. But you don't have to. You don't do any soldering and things like that in these days and times, like it was in my uncle's time. But kind of to wrap this up, because I'm coming up on 30 minutes here, and I don't want to keep you any longer than necessary. The hobby and service of amateur radio is one that is very fulfilling for me. I have learned so much. I've met so many incredibly awesome people as a result of that. And as I said, it is a hobby and it's a service. The service aspect of it can involve disaster communications response. So in situations, and I understand that a lot of people struggle to understand how something that is relatively old technology or based in old technology can be something that can be helpful in the time of an emergency. But when you have an earthquake that ravages like Haiti or places like that where the infrastructure is already um, not very good to begin with, and everything gets wiped out. Well, amateur radio has stepped in and has been able to keep communications and everything going so that uh, people can get information, supplies can get disseminated, and stuff like that. And of course, the hobby aspect of it is just simply the art of using these communications, these technologies that have basically been around for a very long time, in trying to make contact with people in the town next to you, in the state next to you, across the country, and around the world. Many amateur radio operators have had contacts with the International Space Station or the Space Shuttle before that program ended. There's a lot of other aspects to it. I myself have never had an ISS contact, but one thing that was kind of cool for me one time was I was operating on a mountaintop. Obviously, we've got quite tall peaks here in the Front Range area of Colorado, the Rocky Mountains. And on HF, I worked many countries and also had a very short conversation with a airline pilot who was also an amateur radio operator and also using HF, the HF bands, and making contact with ham radio operators as they flew across the country. And I believe that I was on one of the mountaintops here in Colorado, and he was about 600 miles away, and about to basically enter the Pacific. Um, and I think he was headed to Tokyo. I think that was the deal, if I remember correctly. But anyway, that's that. I wanted to answer that question for my friend AKFS because he asked it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment in the show notes or in the comment section of the videos, and I will certainly get to them when I have the opportunity. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful week. And April showers bring May flowers. We've had quite a bit of rain here in Colorado in the latter stages of April, and the grass is starting to pop and look green and everything. Really looking forward to real spring and summer. And I'm rambling, and I will talk to you all very soon. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful week. Take care. Bye for now.